today's webinar is a bit of a departure from our usual scientific series. Instead, we'll be hearing from the top fundraiser of both for Sprint4Syngap 2021 and 2022. In 2022 alone, she raised over $100,000 for SRF. Susan Tavilla had a successful career in hotel management and then made a surprising change. She came on board at her brother's wholesale produce company with the agreement that she would run the office. But she quickly discovered she had a knack for sales. Learning the business from the ground up, she has become the company's most successful salesperson. She is a shrewd businesswoman in the very best sense of the word, and she knows how to make a good deal, one that leaves everybody satisfied. She has brought innovative techniques to the world of wholesale produce, and she brings some of those same techniques to fundraising for SRF. She's the sister to Syngap dad, Ernie Tavilla, and aunt to Syngapian Mila. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
To get started, can you tell us a little about you and your story and how you got started with fundraising for SRF?
Okay, what you said is kind of true. It makes me sound really good though. When my mom was diagnosed with a brain tumor, which was maybe 10, 11 years ago, there were only about 900 people with a brain tumor in the United States at the time. And she had a glioblastoma, which at the time was very rare. Boston was hosting its first brain tumor walk. I happened to just see it online and I said, hey, let's do this. You know, it'll be something we can do for my mom, because they told us that she only had a couple months to live. I thought it'd be something for her to be excited about. And I got to start to do some fundraising on a small scale. I had never done it before. And it ended up, we were the top team. And we were actually in competition with another team whose daughter had a brain tumor. She's doing well. My mom did pass, but she lived 3.5 years. And we were the top team. And over the 5 years that I did the brain tumor walk and had Team Tavilla, I raised $330,000 for them over 5 years. My mom had passed. We did the brain tumor walk one more year. And then I felt as if someone could kind of take over my place, because there was a lot of people whose parents, siblings, husband, whatever, were living with their brain tumor. Some of them aren't fatal. And I thought, you know what, they can do without me. And at that time, I had a year or two off. And then here comes Mila. We didn't know what was wrong with her, but it ended up giving me another opportunity.
Thanks for the background on that. Can you tell us a little bit about the 2022 Sprint4Syngap event? And then also, I know that you guys, last year, I think was your first year participating in 2021, our first event. You really, increased year over year what you're able to fundraise there. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you got started last year, how you built on that for the 2022 event, and kind of what all went into planning for?
Okay, in 2021, Sandy had kind of started running it, and I wasn't involved until, I'm going to say last minute, but it was maybe the last 6 weeks. And we weren't raising, in my mind, enough money. So that's why I had to step in, because Sandy is, my sister, is very much a technical person and does a lot of the tech stuff and the back stuff. I'm more of the touchy-feely. I know this person, I know that person. I make lots of deals. That's what I do. I zig and zag. So I took over the fundraising part. I did a few letters. I made phone calls. I made emails. I did a few things. And we did start to raise money. It was almost a little disorganized, though, I should say, because it was kind of last minute. Not that you guys were last minute, but we were, because we just weren't prepared. We weren't as prepared as we were this year. So I don't even remember what we raised, but I mean, we did respectable from,
I think it was about 50,000 last year.
Okay, $50,000. So a respectable amount of money, but we weren't quite as organized. We didn't start as early. And well, also we were in that pandemic, even worse. I mean, they were still supposed to wear a mask to the thing and, you know, all of that kind of thing that honestly, you know, it was tough. We were blessed with a good day. It was actually a really nice day and we had a huge turnout. We never expected it. And Sandy had a lot of information. I had one of my customers, Wilson Farm, they do, there's a huge farm near us, a farm stand. He brought drinks and I had them bake cookies with Mila's name. It said Team Mila and, you know, for Syngap. And we did have a really good showing for the walk. It was surprising. We raised some money that day, but that's the first year, you know, we did it, but I guess my whole self wasn't in it. I wasn't really in it. And so when we heard, you know, it's going to do it again, it's going to be the second one. I talked to Sandy. We actually met. I got a friend of mine involved who's done some party planning for me because I wanted to do a real event. I wanted to have a walk. I wanted to have it organized. I wanted to have a place. You know, I wanted to have a place for us to go without, because the first place, there was a million other people there. You know, it wasn't our walk. It wasn't our place. So we started looking for places that we could rent or use. And we decided on Lexington where we grew up. And also we met with Hadley's mother, Emily. She came to one of our meetings because she wanted to know, you know, what we were doing. And we decided to invite all of the Syngap, Massachusetts families together because we thought that would be great. You know, there's 6 families and let's have them. So I said, you know what, Sandy, let's have them all over to my house a couple of weeks before the walk for lunch and a party so that I can get to know them. Because Sandy knows everybody because she's way more involved. I get up for work at 10 o'clock at night. I work all night long. I just got out of work to come and do this. So my schedule doesn't afford me to be able to do that. So I wanted to meet these people. So we had them over through 4 or 5 weeks before the walk. And we told them what we were doing. They think we're crazy, obviously. But they still had a lot of fun. I rented a bouncy house. I happen to have an indoor exercise pool, but it's pretty big. The kids all went swimming and we had a great day. And I had a chance to talk to each one of the families about the fundraising. And they just said, you know, it's just not for me. You know, we already did a birthday thing. You know, we just had this diagnosis. I don't think we can raise money still. You know, how in the heck can you raise, at that point, I think we're at about $30,000 or $35,000. And I said, oh, wait a minute, I'm not even close. You'll see, I'm telling you, we're gonna do fine. And I sat down with Kerry, who's my favorite Syngapian, don't tell anyone besides Mila, and her parents. And they were so fascinated with the fact that there's no secret. Everyone says, what's your secret? There's no secret. You just have to ask people to help. Because you know what? Most people want to help. They want to help. Whether they help with $25 or $2,500, they want to help. Whether they help with the guy I asked to come bring an ice cream truck to the event, PZ Farms in Waltham, he wouldn't charge me. I expected to pay $1,500, you know, he wouldn't charge me. The people that I got the pizza truck, they saved me about $1,000. She was very, you know, because she charged me for whatever, but when we went way over our head count, we thought we were gonna have 100 people. We ended up with like 150, 160. She didn't charge me anything extra. She just said, don't worry about it, you know, because she knew it was for a good cause. The more you tell people about it, the more you ask, the more they'll give to you. The more they want to know what it is. What is that Syngap? What is that? How is Mila? How is Mila affected? How is Tina and Ernie affected? Everybody wants to know how to deal with something like this. And they relate it to, a lot of people came back and said, oh, you know, my nephew's autistic, or my son, I just found out today, a friend of mine, his middle child is nonverbal and autistic. And who knows, maybe there's some gap. I don't know, you know, because they are recently diagnosed also. And people don't even know what it is. They've never even heard about it. It's so rare. It's not something that's blasted up all over the internet. It's not like breast cancer, like everyone gives to that, you know, because that's just how it is. But we need to get it to where it's in the forefront. We need Syngap, like with Mike out there with all his things every week and all his posts and everything. I'm not as good as that, but I'm trying. But we need to have that because people need to know, because they need to know what it is and what we're doing. So this makes everyone aware. And I even, when we did our event, and I'll talk to you about our event, what exactly we decided to do, people that were there from the community that, you know, come to that playground, it was a school, you know, they would come and ask me, can you tell me about it? We also had an information sheet that we're handing out, and I would get the information sheet and I explained to them about it and told them this is what it is, and you know, this is how serious it is. And they were so moved by what we were doing, you know, for these kids. And most people really are. Most people really are good at heart, and most people want to help. They want to give. They just don't know how to. So I tried to steer them in the right direction. That's my job, I feel.
Thanks for that. So the actual event itself, you said 150 or 160 people. How do you get, you know, for this rare disease that nobody's ever heard of, as you're explaining, how do you get 150 or 160 people to show up for something like that? How many did you invite? Were these all people that you knew personally, or, you know, what that look like?
I mean, I think it's people that we did, a lot of us, like I knew, Sandy knew, or a lot of them were the Syngap sisters. They had a group. You know, that was good that we had all of the families from Massachusetts, because each of them brought with them a contingent of people with them as well. But I was on, for the last 6 weeks, I went on Facebook and Instagram every day with some sort of a post to join us at the walk. We're gonna have a pizza truck. We're gonna have a ice cream truck. There's gonna be t-shirts. It's fun for the kids. You know, you'll enjoy this event. It's a family thing. I try to really talk it up. I'm not really great at social media, so it was a challenge. That's not my real thing. But for that month, I went solidly on I made a point of it. And every time I was on, I did not ask for money, but every time I was on, you know, I put up the link, and we often had people donating on that during those times. So that's what I did to get them to come. I had no idea how many people would show up. I had no idea. Me and Sandy thought maybe 100 people. We didn't do a very good job of counting, but we even had our butcher from when we were kids heard about it. He's in his 90s, and he brought his family, and he made a donation because he remembered us from when we were kids. It was really cool, you know, because there was a lot of people out of our past. Ernie, Mila's father, a lot of his neighbors came, which was really nice. Yeah, they have a cul-de-sac, so they have a close neighborhood group. A lot of them came. A lot of people from the produce business, which is what Ernie and I work in, a lot of them came to support. And they are those people, and the people that work in the produce industry, they're my biggest donors. And a lot of people are afraid. This is what we get into, where, you know, the asking and the money. One of my customers, a big customer who has a whole lot of money, he said, Susan, all I have to do is ask people. That's all. It's not a trick. Ask them. Most people are going to help you. You just have to ask. If they say no, they say no. Then you move on to the next person. But honestly, all you need to do is ask. And that's the secret, you know, because if you don't ask, nobody's going to give it to you. And what I did, if you want me to tell you, Peter, now how I made my, how I decided to do the fundraising, I kind of have it broke down into my people that I ask in 3 groups. I have the older people, more established, and for those people, I wrote a letter. I did the same thing last year. I wrote the letter on good stationery. I had it professionally done, a printer who helped with the cost because he knows us. We do printing with him. I try to use vendors that I have used before, because they want to do something for you. Yeah. That's their donation right there. They can print the letter, and they don't have to pay for it. You know, you don't have to pay for it. And I did letters to about 150 people. Then phase 2, or part 2, there's the middle people, the middle age, like that 30 to 45-year-olds. I emailed them the letter, but in the email, I also did a personal, you know, plea and what have you. But there's a lot of people, they don't read their mail. It's junk mail to them. I made sure the envelope was nice, whatever, hopefully it's not junk mail, but I emailed them because that's how they communicate. That's just how it is. I mean, it's a three-tiered thing. The younger people, the 18 to 30, all on Facebook, Instagram, social media. I don't tweet,
TikTok.
but I guess I'm gonna have to. TikTok. I'm a TikToker. Me and Everly, Mila's sister, did a TikTok. But all of that, that's how they communicate. And that's why we did a Venmo, because a lot of them, they don't write a check. They're not gonna write you a check.
Yeah.
They Venmoed. So one of my promotions one weekend was, if you Venmo me from Saturday morning to Saturday night, I'll match you. I had a certain amount that I was going to give. Might as well make it work for you. And on that day, I don't know, it was like $1,800 extra that I maybe wouldn't have got, but people want to make me pay because I'm sure they all think I make too much money. So it's like, hey, make her pay. So they Venmoed, but a lot of people Venmoed. And that's one thing that, it's changed over the years. Everyone just write a check. Now they use a credit card, which, obviously, or there are some people that still write checks, but the credit card and the Venmo is huge now. It's huge. So I reached out 3 different ways: the letter, the email, the social media. And I kind of have a feel for who's going to give for, in each group. And I think the first year when I did it, I kind of missed the boat on the social media, even though I did a little bit of it, but I mostly relied on my letter writing skills and what have you. So
well, I think you touched on 2 key things there. I think matches are an excellent strategy. It really encourages, your donors to support you. You're going to be doubling what their donation is. And so that I think drives just more donations in general. And then Venmo, making donating as easy as possible for the donor is really important. And it's really smart to think about it in kind of age groups like that and what's going to be easiest for them or what's going to resonate with them. I love kind of the age groups and having something physical going out to your older, more established donors, having email communication, social media for your younger donors as well. So those are both great suggestions.
I also think, Peter, that for the old, and I shouldn't even say just older, but one thing I realize, a lot of parents obviously have to work, and a lot of them are both parents work, but some of them just one parent works, and it's often the father. I think they kind of just let it go. All these people they meet day to day in the business world, those people, they have money to give. Yeah. And those companies are the ones that have the big money. Those are the people that we have to continually go after. And that's where I'm going to raise my game for next year. I've already put in place a few things where, I'm doing some things with some of my customers or some of my vendors that I can raise up the amount for next year, because those are the people who have the money, those more established people, they have the money. You're going to get your $100 or your $200 from your friend or this or that. But if you really want to get the big bucks, those are the people we have to really target. And I'm dying to find matching. I agree. I mean, I that's my goal this year, is to find somebody to match us, or match our first 50,000, or match our first 25,000. I mean, that's how you make it work. Exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If you're already going out and raising the hard donations and money, you might as well find some sort of corporate match to double that.
Right.
So,
right.
Agreed with you there. Stephanie Decker had asked a question. It was actually something we were going to kind of get into here anyway. She was saying, you wrote letters. Can you be more specific? Who do you write the letters to? Did you just tell your Syngapian story? Do you have the actual letter?
I have the letter. If you want me to read it, I'll gladly read it.
If you don't mind sharing it, that would be great.
Sure. You'll see how I go through it. And I take it personal. I tell my story a little bit, but you'll hear how it is. I wrote, "Dear family and friends, first off, this is the only fundraising letter you received from me this year. My passion for the past few years has been my sweet niece, Mila, Ernie's youngest daughter, born with Syngap 1. Syngap 1 is a rare disease affecting less than 1,000 children worldwide. It is a neurological disorder caused by mutation in chromosome 6. Most Syngap children suffer from epilepsy, intellectual disability, lack of language, nonverbal, and sleep disorder. Ernie and Tina will never hear their little girl say, "I love you." Mila will need full-time care her whole life. Even with these challenges, Mila is a very happy and endearing girl who brings us so much joy. On April 30th, my family, along with other Mass Syngap families, will join forces to take a lap for Syngap in a walk to raise money for research. As I am sure you know, because of the rarity of this disease, funding is low, almost non-existent. The parents and extended families of these precious children have rallied to raise money on this day to help find a cure. Your money goes directly to research. We have made a goal of raising $50,000 as a family to go towards helping Mila and those children like her. I know you're asking, how can I help? First of all, you can go online and make a donation on our site via your credit card. We give our link. Sandy made a really nice, easy link. Or you can make a check out to Syngap Research Fund. You can send it to me here at Peterville or my home address, which I put. We appreciate anything you can do, and thank you in advance for your support. I've kind of made it to the point. I let them know what Syngap was, and I told them what I wanted, their money, and that was it.
And I think, you threw a couple of things in there about Mila that really kind of, tug on the heartstrings.
At your heartstrings. That's the point, and it has to. You meet a girl like that. First of all, she's a love. She's a little bit of a wise guy. I hate to say. That's from Ernie. I was at her house a week ago and she was thrilled to see me. She was in the bedroom. I said, "Come on, let's go out in the living room." She took my hand. We went out walk. It was nice. The next week I was over, Ernie was with her. So she has this habit of, if she wants to be with her father or with somebody, she doesn't want you around. She tried to lock me in the bedroom and shut the light off. I was like, "Thanks a lot, Mila." So she definitely has quite a personality, that's for sure. And she's a love. I mean, she really is. When she comes to my house, I love it. I have a room I call Mila's room. It's how I know that there's a really smart little girl inside her. She might only come here 4 or 5 times a year, but she knows when she gets here. She loves this house. She walks right into Mila's room. She climbs up to the guest room. I put a ball pit, Sandy, of course, talked me down in a ball pit. I have a teepee, and she crawls up on the bed. She visits with her little stuffed animals up there. Then she'll come and find me and take me to the living room. She wants to put the ceiling fan on. Then I have a carousel that all the kids seem to love, because when all the Syngapians were over that day, the carousel had a workout. It's a small one, but it plays music and it lights up and it goes around. It was just for Christmas, but Mila just loves it, so I never put it away. And so she knows exactly where she is. She knows what's going on. She's a smart little girl, and you can't help but to love her. You can't help. I work a ton, so I don't get to spend the kind of time with her that maybe Sandy gets to, or, obviously Tina and Ernie. So for me, the reason I did this, and the only one reason, is to help her. Because like I said in the letter, she will need care her whole life. And we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with her sister or her brother. We don't know. Are they going to be able to take care of her? Are they going to need help? We don't know any of that. So that is why, that's what drives me. People say, "What drives you? How do you get to do this? You work 12 hours a day. How do you have time for this?" Because you make time, because it's important, because it's such important work. And it is, it's very important.
Well, thanks for sharing the letter. That was a really, really great letter. If we can get a copy of that, we'll go ahead and include a link to it.
Sure.
In the webinar here as well.
The other thing we do, I'm not, I feel like I'm saying I did this, I did that. I had a team that I handpicked. Sandy was doing all that stuff, and I just kind of pushed her to the side and said, let me do this stuff, you do that stuff, whatever. But then we had a team. We had my friend Taylor, who is basically a party planner by rights, and she is an accountant. I mean, that's what she does, but she helped immensely, looking for and securing a place. I had to get a insurance policy for the day for $1 million. I mean, it doesn't cost that much, it's like $100 or something. But I mean, there is a lot of work that goes into planning these events. So I had help, and I'm sure next year we're going to make Emily do a lot more. That's Hadley's mother, if you're listening, Emily. And we'll definitely. And I've got also a girl at work, Jamie Lynn, who has worked for me for 15 years. She helped me with the letters. I wrote the letter, but she helped me do the mailing. And then we did a beautiful thank you card also with pictures. And she helped me with the mailing. She did all the stickers. We've developed now a mailing list over the last, Sandy has the thank you note, which I will also read because I think that's important. And I had 2 photographers, both friends of mine. One was one of my mom's good friends and one is my best friend. I had 2 photographers that day, and they took a ton of pictures, videos, everything, so that we can document the day. And people are still coming up and saying what a great day it was. They can't wait till next year. And we're going to really push it next year because I want even more people. I want a bunch of people. I want it to be a big deal. One place we fell short, and we're going to put, I think I might probably put Emily in charge of this next year. We need to get on the news. I know it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal because that, and I know she knows somebody. So I need to get on the news. We need to, and I know we can. I have to start a little earlier, but I want a news crew there that day. And I want them to see, hey, look what this family of nobodies did. Look how much money they've raised. I want them to say in 3 years on her 3rd walk, they're already raised over 250,000 for this, unknown disease. I want that. And I think that we can do it. And, I just thought of a thing right now. One of my biggest donors, he is really good friends with a guy that runs Phantom Gourmet. And I just thought of it right now. It just came to me. So I'm going to write a note so I don't forget. And I know he can get me hooked up with somebody. I'm thinking, who do we know? Who we want? But I really want a news team there. I want to be on the news and I want to be in print or something, not for myself, because I know you think that I'm like this, but I'm not. I don't want to be that center of attention person. I want Mila to be in center. I want Hadley to be front and center. I want the Syngap sisters, Elsie and Lily, to be there. And the little boys, I want them to be the people on display. I want Kerry to be there because it's really, that's the important thing. And I want them to see that these kids are vital members, of our society, and they need their support. I want that to be. And so that's one of my goals for next year, and also to raise more money, obviously, but that's one of my goals for next year. So
it seems like several families were able to put together some sort of large group for an awareness event for Sprint4Syngap, but going out and asking for money kind of takes it a step further. How do you set the tone? Do you think it's through the letter that you're making it obvious that we need to also fundraise at this event? How do you kind of set the tone that it's more than just an awareness event when you're getting this group together?
Well, because it is, and I make sure they understand that. I'm not shy about asking for money, and I don't think anyone with a Syngap child or niece or nephew, Mila's my niece, not my daughter, I don't think they should be shy, because everybody asks you for money all the time. How much do you get? How many letters do you get? How many emails do you get asking you to make a donation? Make a donation to this, make a donation to that. We also had a cool flyer that I don't know where we got it, but it was great. I had my printer print that as well. That told a lot about Syngap, so people knew what it was. And we made a point to tell them, in the letter, I make a point in every single post. I said, this is a rare disease. The parents, I tell Mike's story about how he quit his bazillion-dollar-a-year job, and gave that up so that his son could have a better life. Because honestly, to me, that is so impressive. I can't even imagine doing that. I really can't. I think I'm one of those people who do everything, but I can't imagine doing that. But he loves his kid so much, and he wants his kid to have a better life, and he wants his kid to have a better chance. And I want Mila to have a better chance. And I want Carrie to have a better chance. And I want Mike's kid to have a better chance. I want them all. And Peter's son, you know, I want that for them. It kills me. It just, honestly, it does. It kept me up at night thinking about it when we were going through the stuff with Mila, and I'd see Ernie at work every day and I could see the stress and the pain on his face, not knowing what's wrong and not, you know, and I'm sure you guys have all been there. And it just breaks your heart. I mean, that, you know, and then thinking, geez, how does my brother have a child at the time? There was only 300 or 400 kids at the time in the world. How does my brother end up with a little Syngapian? How does that happen? You know, obviously everything happens for a reason, whether it's a good reason or not, but with Ernie, you know, it happened. And now look what it's done. You know, it's definitely brought our family closer for sure. Our parents are both gone and we all work for this one cause, you know, for Mila. We all do it. As you saw, our team name, Moving for Mila, not just Team Tavilla, Moving for Mila. And we all want better for her. We all want her to be okay. We want her to have a better life and all the Syngapians. So we made it clear to everyone through the letter, every time I was on social media, every email I sent, and I started making phone calls for people that didn't donate to me that I thought should have. Then Jamie Lynn was good at that. She would give me the list. Call this one, call this one. I won't say their names. Call this one. You didn't get a check from him yet. You got one last year. Call him, call him. I mean, it was crazy.
I assume that you set a goal as well, and that probably helps drive, you know, donations.
100%. I challenge myself. I challenge myself in a lot of different ways, but in this one, this is what I wrote a little, when you guys said we do this, and I told Sandy, absolutely not, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. No one's going to watch. Nobody cares about what I have to say. So then when she made me do it, I wrote myself a little list. And the things I wrote is number one, and it's the most important, I challenge myself. I believe in Syngap, the SRF, and all it stands for. I worked with a team that I handpicked. I started early, and that was a big thing. We did start like January. I mean, I started getting, with Jamie Lynn and I started behind the scenes, making sure we had our mailing list, doing all that. I wrote my letter early. I mean, I started early. I developed the mailing list and I identified my donors. It was more people than the year before, and next year will be even more people. I wrote the letter. I started with the emails. I started the social media, and I start talking it up. I ran those weekend promos. I challenged one big donor that I have, the one that knows the Phantom Gourmet guy. Last year, it's just because, just the kind of guy he is. He's one of mine and Ernie's customers and an absolute great guy. And for the brain tumor walk, he used to donate bananas and oranges and waters and whatever, because at first it was a very small walk, you know, now more people. But I challenged him and said, you know, I want you to, this is last year, I want you to make a donation. Whatever you do, Ernie and I will match you. I figured to give $1,000. He has $2,500. I was like, oh, brother, now I have to give I already gave my donation. Now I get another 25. Now Ernie has to. So, or you know what? It might have even more. This year, I don't even want to tell you the number, but he only did it so that me and Ernie would have to do that number too. And I'm scared what I said, I told Ernie this year, I'm not donating until we ask him first for the match. I'll go broke. I'm not gonna have any money left because this kid, I think he does it just so Ernie and I have to pay. It's like kind of a game, you know, and he's a very generous person. But that was the other thing. And I'm gonna do that with more than just him. There's a couple other people that, you know, I want to challenge as well. I was also on a little personal journey this past year on losing weight. And I told 3 people, I said, when I hit 100 pounds, if I hit I want you to each give me $1,000 for the Syngap. I did. And that was part of our donations as well. So they gave me that. Now I can't lose another 100 pounds this year. So I got to come up with something else, but we'll find something. And I think the whole thing with inviting, I got off track, but we planned the event. I made the t-shirts. I got a guy that, you know, his t-shirts were half the price, but they were excellent t-shirts. But he had made t-shirts for another friend of mine who lost a child, and he has an event. So, you know, he helped us. I look for people that could help us, that could cost me the least possible to put on an event. Not that I'm cheap, because I'm the furthest thing from it. I want it to be a nice event, but I don't want it to pay so much because I want the money to go to Syngap. I constantly followed up with people who hadn't responded, which was a big deal. And Jamie Lynn was very important with that. Once we got down to the last couple of weeks, she'd be emailing these people, sending them another letter. We didn't care. And I don't care if they're saying she's a pain in the neck. I don't really care. If they donate, that's all that matters. And then we invited all the Massachusetts families to our house, my house, because I wanted them to see that they can be involved too, because they couldn't believe it. They're like, how do you do this? I can't believe it, and it's not that hard. It's actually fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. I honestly can't wait to do it again. And I made a point to only, I'm not going to do a bunch of charities. This is my charity now.
Mm-hmm.
This is my thing. This is what I'm going to raise money for until they don't stop raising money for it. This is what I'm going to do, and because I don't like when you have the people, they ask you for this, then they ask you for that, then you ask, make one thing, believe in it, which I do, obviously, and make it work for you. So that's what I did.
I think that's another good best practice to call out. And something that you mentioned in your appeal letter was that you were only going to contact them one time for a donation this year. So they know that this is the one event that they should give more on, right?
Exactly. Even though, the parents
fatigue over time by asking and asking and asking. So
exactly. The parents, they can do the little birthday thing, they can do that. They're parents. Yep. I'm not, and so I don't have to do that. This is my thing. This is what I'm going to ask for. I still did my little Splash for Syngap videos yesterday. And, I still put out there because I want people to stay aware. I don't want this to go out of the forefront. I want people to know. It was funny, an old friend that I haven't spoken to in 30 years contacted me the other day, and he emailed me, texted me, whatever, inbox, whatever it is. And he goes, hey, what's this Syngap anyway? He goes, that's all you have on your Instagram and Facebook. And I said, oh, it's nice that you asked. And he had 2 autistic grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, but he had no idea. never heard of it. And so, he's, what's that? But it is all over. And that's what it is. That's who I am. And that's, I don't apologize for it. I don't care. And I don't mind asking. I don't mind, I don't look at Mila as a handicapped child or whatever. I don't know all those words. I don't look at her as that. I look at her as someone who's wakes up every day and is meeting the challenges of her life. And this is the life that God gave her. But I still think we can help her, and I think that, raising money is the way to do it. That's what I can give, at least, because it's all I can do. It's all that I can do. And that's what I am going to continue to do.
So Susan, you talked about setting goals, and I know we discussed through the process, we probably changed your goal about 3 times. So can you talk about what it feels like hitting your goal, and then how did you decide to set another goal?
Honestly, it's exciting. It really is. You can't even imagine. I honestly didn't remember what we raised last year. I thought it was 40 or 50,000, but to me, that was good. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was great, but I knew in my heart, even though I set a goal, I said it was 50,000. In my real mind, it was 100,000 all the time, because I really thought I could get there. I really did. And as we went on, I was like, yeah, we're definitely going to get there. We're going to get there. When we were close, I called one of my, a guy that does my trucking for me. And I said, look, Robert, you got to do me a favor. We're like 1,200 away. You think that? And he's like, sure. Give the girl the information. He put a 1,200 in, and then we still got a couple thousand afterwards. But I wanted to hit it. I wanted to beat it. I could taste it. I was like, we have to make $100,000. And I was like, come on, Caitlin, put the checks in. I want to see it. I wanted to see on the site that it said $100,000. It's a great feeling to be able to do that for my niece. It's so great. It feels better than anything. It really does. It does. It's good. And I think people that raise money will tell you that. And honestly, I have been recruited heavily. First, when I was doing my mom's fundraising, and now these 2 years, every single time I've been recruited by a couple people, come work for me. For the Jimmy Fund, come work for us. I want, I'm like, no, I'm raising money for something I believe in. And honestly, the fact that, and this is a big thing that you need to use in your fundraising, the fact that you are raising money for a research fund that doesn't pay the boss. They don't pay the board of directors. Nobody gets paid. That is huge. And whether or not that changes, it might change, it might not, but that's huge. Use that. And I use that. And I told every single person that raised money, I'd email them back and I thank, and I say, you know what? All this money, 100% of it goes towards the grants they're going to give for research for these kids. Nobody's getting paid. There's nobody like in the Pan Mass Challenge that makes $2.7 million to raise money. None of us, nobody's paying us. Nobody's paying any money. Every penny goes towards these kids. And you really need to use that towards your advantage because there's not many things like that out there at all. I mean, none that I know of, none.
Last question from my side, and you're starting to touch on it here around thanking donors and follow up. Can you talk just a little bit about what that looks like? If you want to share your letter, you can. Otherwise, we can share the link to it after the fact as well.
I can share the link to it. It's a brief one. I wrote, I did write a card, and I do a nice card. I don't just, because a lot of people whose homes I went to afterwards, it was on the refrigerator. It was really nice, and I thanked them. And we'll put it on the thing.
It's all the families.
And we put up all the families of all the kids. I wrote, thank you for your generous donation to Syngap Research Foundation. The founder of the Syngap Research Foundation is a dad of a Syngap kid. He started the Syngap Research Foundation with hope for a better life for his son. Is that really true? Did I make that up?
Syngap Research Fund.
Oh, SRF. I wrote SRF, sorry. 100% of your donation goes to research, and that's where I put it, as the SRF is made up of all volunteers who do not take any pay. Team Tavilla raised over $100,000 to put towards a grant so that we can hopefully find a cure. Thank you for your support and generosity. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. With gratitude, the Tavilla family. But I didn't just send them out. I hand wrote their name. I have 20 left to do. I'm going to do them when we hang up. Oh no, I forgot to bring them back from work. And I wrote a little note to the people telling them how much I appreciated. The people that came, I told them, thank you for coming. We hope to see you next year. People that didn't come that I thought should come, I wrote, thank you for your donation. Please join us next year. I know your kids would enjoy it. I try to write a little personal note on every one that I sent out. Is it time consuming? Yeah, but is it important? I think it's the most important. I think it's very important to thank people, and not just on Facebook and not just on Instagram, not just an email, a real thank you card. And you don't have to be, you don't have the money, you don't have to be elaborate. Like I said, I have a lot of people that do stuff because I do for others. I am a philanthropic person. When you ask me to donate, I donate. As as long as it's not something I really can't get my head around. But that's why people also donated to our thing. That's another reason. If you put yourself out there and you're kind, even if it's just a kindness that you give to people, not money, people, if they have the money, they're gonna do it for you. So you give what you get what you give. So I think that's really important, an important part of it.
Thanks for that, Susan.
That's great. I'm gonna jump in a little bit. I see there's a hand raised from Denise Tavilla. Another Tavilla. You guys are everywhere.
Yeah, we are.
Denise, I'm gonna click allow you to talk if you want to ask your question. But you're muted. You gotta unmute yourself.
I just want to say, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to say how proud I am of Susan. She worked so hard. Everybody's worked so hard. Such a great cause. And Mila is my son's little sister. So I just want to tell Susan I'm so proud
Denise is
of her.
Michael's mom. Denise is Michael's mom.
Got it.
Thank you, Denise.
Love you. So proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. And I want to chime in. I've been taking notes and listening, Susan. I want to echo what Peter and Caitlin have said in terms of thank you for your leadership on this. We're going to retitle this, whatever we call this webinar. We're going to retitle it Masterclass in Fundraising. You covered a lot of stuff, and I agree with all of it. One of the things I didn't hear you talk about as explicitly, because I think it's just in your bones, but by doing this now, you're in the second year, you're already talking about the third year. You are, in addition to raising money, which we need to keep doing this important work, you are raising awareness, right? Everyone you're asking about for money, they're like, what is a Syngap thing? Who's got Syngap? What's up with Mila? Like, so can you just talk a little bit about how you're raising awareness broadly? And then along the same vein, the other thing, and I mean, Emily, if you want to chime in on this too, you're also building community, right? Like, this event is a fundraiser, but by saying, this is the Boston thing, come Syngap sisters, come Emily and Hadley, come whoever else is next. Like, you're also creating a community amongst the Syngapians and amongst the people who love and support those families, which I think is also precious. So any thoughts on those two things? Community and awareness?
I definitely agree. When we were getting ready to do our walk, and I know you touched on it in one of your podcasts, everything happened organically, believe it or not. I gave a little speech. Next year, we're going to have a microphone because nobody could hear me. And that's how many people were there. Seriously. I gave my little speech and I asked my niece, Everly, who is Mila's older sister. She's 8 years old, mind you. Remember when you were 8? And I asked her and Kerry if they would start the walk. Everly walked up to Kerry, who's 15 at the time, held Kerry's hand and walked around the circle. Sorry, but I was blown away how this little 8-year-old knew that she should take the lead of this little Syngapian girl who is awesome, but she didn't let go of her hand the whole way. And she really showed us, all of us older people, all of us that are there, hey, I'm here to help take care of Kerry, to take care of my sister Mila. I'm here to do that. And guess what? You people should all be doing that too. And it was awesome. It was an out of body almost experience. I had tears in my eyes thinking about it. And I know Mike had touched on it because he noticed it too. But that's exactly what we're doing. Like I said to Sandy, I can't wait to have everybody over again. And I'm thinking of what we're going to do. We saw somebody have a foam party. We want to do a foam party now, you know. I can't wait to have everybody over again. I can't wait to build like a relationship with these people that, are in our state. And I'm excited about it because I want them to know, you know what, if Emily needs me to run over and watch Hadley, even though Hadley was a little, I don't know, the brother loved me, but Hadley the jury was out. She liked my niece a little better because she was making slime. But, and it was funny because this, what's the Syngap sister's mother's name? Elise? Erin goes, how can you have these people over to your house? What are you, crazy? I said, I don't care. It doesn't matter because her daughter was throwing cups around and doing this. Who cares? They're cups. I don't care. They're having fun. They're having a good time. Those things don't matter to me. We were definitely building a community that I hope to last, for as long as we can have it last. I just think it's important.
And then Emily, you want to add to that? I invited Emily up.
I want to chime in that the community and the support, specifically of the Boston families, because we've all, through Susan's help, specifically gotten so close. The event was unbelievable. My family and friends are just astonished that like Hadley has this really rare, thing going on and that there's a community in our neighborhood, essentially. And it's just fantastic. Susan is a force. She's amazing. I'm so happy that she's getting to speak today because everything she's done is like just incredible as far as the fundraising and supporting the kids and just being so honest and heartfelt, like she's so genuine. And I think that's the real piece that strikes all of us to come together.
Emily.
Emily,
Agreed.
since you're here, I have a quick question for you because I know you did a fundraiser before, but I started putting the timeline together while we were here. You didn't start really fundraising for Sprint4Syngap until you probably met Susan, if I'm doing the timeline correctly. So what is it that like even Susan said to get you to fundraise and convinced you to raise more money, even though you just in the past few months before that were raising money?
Yeah, so that was an obstacle for us because we had just had a fundraiser when Hadley got diagnosed, and we had raised a lot of money. So it was a little hard to ask, a month later for money again. But there were people, and I think some of you know, but my niece also got diagnosed with leukemia. So my sister had a fundraiser, my twin sister. So we were, stretched a little thin as far as asking for support, but people still came out. I sent flyers. The beautiful flyers that they had made, I put in the kids' school bags. And I mean, not only did we get, additional fundraising, but the awareness piece, like, I feel like so many new people learned about Syngap. There's so much more discussion about it in my community. So yeah, I just continue to ask, like Susan said, you don't get what you don't ask for, you have to just be willing to put yourself out there. I probably didn't do as good with the follow-up as she did. But that's, I'm going to take some
You
of
have
her.
two little kids. I don't have any.
And that's the genius of an annual event, right? I think a lot of like Sprint4Syngap is an annual umbrella event, but you guys are making a very special thing in Boston. I think I hope and expect that our community will learn from you and copy you everywhere. And it's about funding community and awareness. And I just, Susan, you said fundraising is all I can do. That's not true. Respectfully, I think you like so many Tavillas, I don't know what they gave you guys as kids, you bring a lot of heart and a lot of passion to this, and and you're very much part of the community in Boston, and I think that's really magical. I want to make two more points, and then we were almost at the hour. One of them is, in addition to Emily, Emily gets recently diagnosed, right? So all is going on. The Tavillas are hosting this wonderful event. Suddenly, Emily's community gets to come and be like, wait, this is a thing. Look at what's going on. And that, I think, brings people in. And that, if you listen to my podcast, I'm always saying to people, like, I think 2 podcasts ago, I was like, don't just hold your kid and say, we're going to get through this. That's right. That's everyone's first instinct when they get told their child has a terrible disease. And it's exactly wrong. Because what you need to do is open the doors and invite your community in and let them see what your life is and that you need help. And so your event, any physical event, is a way to do that. But the other people who showed up this year was a few representatives from Stoke Therapeutics. And that is a really big deal, right? So the way our kids are going to get better is drug companies are going to make drugs. And so when they could show up and meet the patients, and then meet the families, and then see the community. And at the end of the day, companies are not, monolithic. They're run by people. And when people come and they connect with other people and their hearts are touched, that deepens the connection between that company, the leaders in that company, and Syngap. So I think that was a huge win that none of us saw coming. And you should take a victory lap on that. And then I'm thrilled to hear you talking about news and media next year, because again, it's about fundraising and we need all the funds we can get. There's so much good work to do.
We're doing it, right, Emily?
Community
We're
and
doing
awareness. Yep.
We are.
So,
100%.
For next
I already
year.
got some ideas. I can't wait to hang up because I
Yeah,
have got
I'm
stuff to do.
excited.
all right, it's a wrap. Let's stop. Susan's got it right.
Just so you know, Mike, I said to Sandy, I thought it was 10 minutes that I had to talk, but I guess we filled almost the hour. So
You're a Tavilla.
that's right.
I love this family. So that's all I had to say. I just wanted to emphasize the community, and it's going to grow. More kids are going to get found. More kids are going to get diagnosed. And what you guys have built in Boston through this event and through a little bit of the Tavilla magic, and now the Barnes magic and the Syngap sisters and Neil and everybody, it's just wonderful to see it. And I'm so happy. So thanks for doing this, Susan. This really was a masterclass in terms of, you got to ask, you got to follow up, you got to let people know what's going on. So Emily, Susan, any closing, and then Peter, Caitlin, any closing thoughts?
Just one thing, you had asked about the awareness thing. The thing that's behind me, this background, we made these flyers. Well, Taylor that worked with us, she made these flyers and I had them all printed. And I'm going to tell you something, a lot of people, oh, I want another one of them. They really liked them. And then we had the information flyer about Syngap that we also had at the event. And I also enclosed that in every letter. And a lot of people came and commented about how, oh, that was great. I knew nothing, they didn't know about it. But so I think the information definitely is a big part of it, Mike, like you had asked me, the awareness, because next year I'm going to go and start putting these flyers up places. I know a lot of people and more people than I probably think. And I know they'll put it in their storefront or wherever, because everybody's on board, and I'm going to keep the awareness up. I'm not going to just take a nap now for 6 months. I'm going to keep the awareness up and just keep going. And that's what I'm going to do, because we are going to blow 100,000 next year, 100%. We will mark my words, Caitlin. I might put 100 on the first thing, but
We'll be changing it. It's okay.
we'll be changing it for sure. We'll be changing it for sure. Because after 3 years, I want my total not to be 250. I want it to be with a 3 in front of it. So I'm definitely going for it this next year. Go big or go home.
I know you can do it. If anybody can do it, you can do it, Susan. And thank you so much for all of your wisdom and all of your words and bringing it to others on how they can do it. Because I think that's the biggest question is, how can I do it? And I think you really
It's
gave
my
a lot
pleasure.
of wisdom.
My pleasure. I was nervous, but I hope you couldn't tell. So
No, you're great. Thank you, Susan, so much. We'll
nice to meet you, Peter.
You as well. We appreciate you sharing all of your process with us and all of your best practices. We'll share your appeal letter, your thank you letter, and your flyer along with the webinar here as well. But thank you again for making the time for us today and sharing with the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Bye, Emily. See you soon.
Bye, you're the best.